since I was 11. That's when I first picked up an SLR and I was hooked. I've just done it ever since. I've never stopped taking pictures. I just started shooting ILFORD film straight away, black and white film. Went to college, that lasted about 3 weeks. Went on my lunch hour, I'm still on it, I never went back. Growing up and working in photography, I've done a bit of everything. My first love was always portrait. I was always drawn to the old films as well. That's why I shoot black and white. And I'd always shot film. It just took a bit of a back step when digital came out. But then I went back into film doing it properly. That's when I just got my love for photography back again. About 6, 7 years ago, I just realised that's what I wanted to do, so that's when I really knuckled down, specialised in it, got back into shooting black and white, analogue portrait work. Today we're in NQ Studios in Northern Quarter in Manchester. I really like it because it's quite scruffy and you can really work here. You know, you're not worried about stepping through a cove or tearing some paper. So it's just a good creative little place really. The big improvement in my work came when I started shooting medium format. It really slows you down. On this you've got 10 shots per roll. Perfect. And that's another roll. I'll be shooting with the RZ67. This is a 6x7 medium format film camera. I always keep the waist level finder on. As a portrait photographer, you can kind of engage with your sitter. You're not hiding behind it. In a studio setting, I don't think anything beats this camera. The 110 lens is stunning. I don't like a long focal length for a portrait. I like to get in close, I like to work closely with people. And a slightly wider lens, it can distort a little bit, but that adds to the quirky kind of look of my images and the people that I'm shooting. The only other essential piece of kit when you're using stuff like this is a good light meter. If you're not metering correctly, the lighting's irrelevant. You've got to learn how to meter, so everyone should have one of them, even if you're shooting digital. There's a lot of cameras with built-in meters that will give you an average reading. If you're getting an average reading of the light, then you're going to get an average image. So I've started using continuous light more than flash. So we've got a softbox as the main light, and then I've just got a simple light there just to highlight the kind of silhouette so it doesn't fall into shadow. This is called winging it, basically where I just try and find a little corner of a studio and just see what I can get really. Just throw some light into a corner, and often these shots are the ones that really work, so you can get quite a cinematic look on some of these. Especially in a studio, it just takes it away from that sterile studio backdrop kind of look. You just see through the viewfinder what works and what doesn't straight away. A strong portrait comes from the connection with the subject and the camera, not so much with me. When I'm searching for people to shoot, I tend to look for quirky people. So if I see people in the street that look particularly arty or odd or weird, I will generally ask them. If someone's a bit nervous, you can kind of disarm them, you know, start shooting with your lens cap on, so they just think you're a doofus, and then the next thing you're like, oh, but it chills them out, it disarms them ready for the shoot. I've metered from that direction, which is where most of the light's coming from. So we've got a 2/50th at 2.8, which is fine for hand holding, and it should look quite cinematic. You do look like Vivian Mayer.
I look like Vivian Mayer, I know what she looks like, that's nice.
Matt, can we borrow your camera? Just pop it round your neck and just... Yeah. And so you'd be like looking down it like that and then just look up at me. That's cool. The light's changing so quick. 125th, 250th f6. I'm generally looking for pockets of light, small shafts of light, so that I can get that contrast in the image. It's in and out today, so it's difficult to find them and you know, get them to stay that way. So we're just having to make do as best we can at the minute. When we got into this location, it was quite dull. There's a bit of rain in the air. Metered for it, and it was looking like I was going to need a 400 or a 125 ISO film. Now the sun's come out, Pan F would have been fine, so, but that's just the joys of shooting on analogue. That's cool. Lovely, hold that. And then looking through the camera. Yeah, look like you're using it, like you've seen the scene down there. Yeah, not mine, yours. That's it, yeah. So like I said, it's waist level. That's it, perfect. Looking straight down it, everything dead straight. Think symmetry. And then eyes up to me. Perfect. So another roll. One of my favourite shots that I've ever taken, which I think spurred me on to do more, was a shot of Jack Francis Johnson. I was shooting a campaign for Didsbury Gin, and he was one of the actors on that, and we just hit it off. Got him in the studio, and we just produced some really beautiful imagery. Okay, I'm just going to shoot quite a tight headshot, which hopefully on ILFORD Pan F I should have a lot of really nice detail on it. This light's really soft, so it should show a lot of detail. That's cool. Chin down a little. Eyes right into the bottom of the lens. That's it. When I arrive on set, I never know what I'm going to shoot or how to pose them, because some models work better than others doing different things. Obviously with Jack, I've shot him before, so I know he's got good bone structure. So I know really that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the graphic image rather than the record of a face kind of thing. I still shoot film primarily for my own personal work. I do occasionally take it on jobs. It is the tactile nature of film that I still love. It's the fact that when you see a portrait in the National Portrait Gallery, that might have been took 50, 60 years ago, but that image, that was the shot on that day. And I think that's why I still shoot film, just for that reason. I think every photographer should shoot personal work. If you don't love it, if it's not your hobby, I don't think you should be doing it professionally. So you have to pursue your own dreams and passion within it. On commercial shoots, I'm pretty much given a free rein, so I can photograph who I want. So if that's a member of the crew or whatever, while I'm waiting for a model to get made up, then I will do it. The dynamic on shoots has changed, especially on sort of like an e-com shoot or an influencer shoot. The emphasis is not so much on the photography anymore. I think people think that photography, anyone can do it, which they can do a lot of e-com photography and fast fashion and digital stuff. A lot of people can do it. You could shoot a lot of it on your iPhone, but that's why I went back into analog, because not everyone can do that. Not everyone can even open it, so yeah. In terms of post-processing for the film images, I'm generally really excited, so whatever time I get back home, quite often I will develop them that night. People are often amazed how quick I turn around the analog shots and not the digital. The digitals can be on a hard drive for 3 weeks. Because I do get genuinely excited, I will develop them that night sometimes so that they dry overnight, and then I can scan them the very next day. I still love the whole process of a portrait, from booking the studio to getting them in, watching them in makeup if they're getting makeup. Actors are the ones where really gets me excited, if I can shoot a really good actor. And it's not for the reasons you think, it's just because if someone's well known, you know that image is going to get more traction. So I photographed Bill Nighy on a roll of FP4, which is basically my staple film. It's always in the bag. It was a bit of a milestone in my career. That was just a really nice moment where everything I'd been shooting felt like it'd been appreciated, recognised and seen. And it was just a really nice job to get. I was umming and ahhing whether or not to take this. The camera bag was open the night before, and at the last minute I threw it in and I put a few rolls of film in, and I shot a few digitals against the studio backdrop, and I just said to him, is it alright if I just shoot one roll of film? And it was an icebreaker as well, because he was asking about the camera. But I quickly fired off 10 shots. And you just know straight away, you can see it in the viewfinder. I knew I'd got it, so I was really excited about the film shots. One of them made the cover of Sunday Times Culture magazine as well. Growing up as a kid, Sunday Times, Observer magazines and stuff like that, the Sunday supplements, they're the things you want in your book. I'm always excited when I'm driving home and I know I've got the shot in the bag. And when you're washing the film in the kitchen sink and you know the fix is finished and you've run a bit of water on it for about 5 minutes and you think, I can check that. So you just lift out the reel and you can just pull it off a little bit and you can just see that there's an image there. So the way I decide which film I'm going to shoot is basically in a studio. It's either Pan F or it's nearly always FP4, simply because it's just a mid-ground. And I do like the look of it, the contrast's good, the blacks always come out nice, the shadows, that's generally why I'll choose that. And then the scanning starts, and that's laborious, and I hate that. I use a DSLR macro lens method. Because I want the film edge in, I had to build my own, and it's only just thrown together out of mount board, diffusing paper, tape, glue. It's dead simple, but it allows me to wiggle the negative around so that I can shoot the entire edge. So I tend to shoot 6 sections of each neg, each 6x7 neg, and then in Photoshop I'll stitch that all together. I use that method mainly because I love a big file. It's just that's the only reason why. You don't necessarily need it, especially when you think most stuff just goes on Instagram. We've shot, how many times have we shot? 5 times now?
Yeah, but over?
Over many, many years. I do want to produce a book or a zine. That pose is perfect. Just hold that for when I've reloaded. I do want to produce a book or a zine because we have produced so much cool work. She's a consistent pain in my arse.
I am.
But we, for some bizarre reason, we seem to produce really nice work, don't we? So we keep going. Right, you know then, just then when you were talking to me, just keep talking into camera. Quite animated, because it just looks kind of cool and nice and relaxed, and that's nice, looking down. Just flap your wings. That's cool. Nice. I'm just going to shoot some Delta 400 because we're shooting continuous light. I think with 400 I can just get a little bit more depth of field, that's all. I've just feathered that softbox ever so slightly off to the right, mainly because Elisa's hair, if she's in a hot spot, it might just bounce back at me. She's quite fair-skinned as well. So that feathering, it just softens the shadows, softens the light somewhat. I'm shooting at 125th of a second at 2.8. So, and I'm keeping it on the tripod today as well. For no other reason than it just helps me compose, I think. That's nice. So I've feathered that light off just to that side. It just softens the shadows, the fall off in the shadows on a face. Pushes this into shadow quite nicely. In terms of direction for models or actors or whoever you're shooting, for me it's always a conversation. It's never too much about directing them. If you can spark up a conversation, and it can be about anything, you're using that as a kind of carrier so that in between the conversation you can just, chin down. It just disarms the people that you're shooting, I think, so they don't look at the shoot as almost like I've got to do what he says. It's just, as you'll see with Elise, it's a conversation with a few little guides, really. You have to immerse yourself in it, you have to be obsessed by it, and you have to live it and think about it all the time, because that's the only time when I've noticed with my work, it's always the stuff like that where I've really immersed myself in it, that it's been successful.